This conference will now be recorded.
So good evening, guys. Warm welcome to day 2 session of embedded systems and IoT. So let us just get started with today's session. So maybe in the meanwhile, I'll just put the meeting open for other participants to join, so that they can join it. Yesterday we have discussed about introduction to embedded system. What is embedded system? What kind of controllers we have in the market? How exactly the controllers are configured based on the requirement? Uh, how you can choose a controller based on the requirement, and we have seen like we have discussed about an application, and then we have discussed about a board which could be compatible for the application. So today we'll go through in detail about different types of boards which are available in the market, especially on the Arduino, because we will be discussing on the Arduino majorly. So guys, today also I'll repeat the same thing. If there are any queries, please post it in the chat box so that I can understand. I'll go through it and I'll revert back to you. Okay, there's no issue in that. So I'll just get started. Let me share my screen. Just confirm whether you can see my screen or not. Okay. I hope you guys can see my screen. Okay, fine. Yeah, I've got a confirmation as well. This is fine. Okay, so let me just go ahead with introduction to Arduino. Like what was the Arduino and how exactly it was uh, created, and what is the major purpose of Arduino basically. Okay, Arduino is a open source electronics platform based on easy to use hardware software. Basically, this Arduino board, it's an open source platform because the IDE, the programming environment, which is available for Arduino, it's free of cost. I mean, you can download it, it's free of cost. It's an open source software. So there is no purchase price for this particular software. So you can download that, you can buy a board, you can deploy the application onto a board, and you can check how exactly your applications are working. So that is one of the purpose of using this kind of boards actually. Okay. Apart from this, Arduino IDE, for running the program, we have an IDE, software IDE, which is called as Arduino IDE, which will come across during the course of journey of this particular platform. We'll be actually coming across multiple applications. So we'll see how exactly you can write a program in the Arduino IDE also. Okay, but before that, how to write the program, how exactly Arduino will accept your program, what kind of programming you have to do. All these things we'll discuss in detail with one more simulation tool, which is a simulation web environment, what we have, which is called as Tinkercad. So Tinkercad is a platform which is used in different countries to train the students, especially on the simulation environment. Rather than going for purchasing the board and deploying your codes, you can go for simulation kind of environment, which I'll show it to you. So Arduino has n number of boards released into a market, which are of different specifications. So as I've told you earlier, we may have an application which is very limited, so you can go for a lower end board. If you have an application which is requiring advanced configurations, you can go for the higher end board. So it depends what kind of application you're developing. That's the reason embedded boards will be developed based on the applications. So it can be customizable, or it can be fixed up, or it can be like based on the application, a board will be given, or based on the application along with the board, some additional. Uh, okay, sorry for the disturbance. So guys, please don't unmute your mics unless and until it is mandatorily required. You can just, if you have any sort of queries, please post it in the chat box so that I can answer it. Okay, fine. Yeah, thank you. So this one, especially these Arduino boards or whatever embedded boards you have in the market, it depends on the application the boards will be actually launched into a market. Okay, so this Arduino board is a basic platform where students can actually do some projects, can do some theme-based projects, etc. It is not used to do a very big application, etc. So based on the application, the scalability of the hardware will increase. See, let us just go ahead with what kind of Arduino boards we have. Okay. See, we have different sort of Arduino boards. So these are different sort of Arduino boards what we actually have in the market. So based on the application, the Arduino board may change. Based on the size also, the boards may change, because if you have a constraint where you have to fit your controller within a size of 5 cross 5 centimeters, which is very small, or like size of 2 cross 2 centimeters, which is very small. So what you can do is you have to go for customization boards. But rather than that, if you have an application where you have to do the application, but there is no space constraint, so you can use whatever board you want. So always remember, application could be anything. Okay, application requirement should be something like size constraint, something like number of IOs. Some people will say, I want 100 IOs, 100 general purpose input outputs, out of which I want 60 digital IOs and 10 analog inputs, 10 analog outputs, and counters, etc. Based on that, you have to select the data acquisition board, or you have to select the controller for customization. Okay, that's how everything will work. So now let us just go ahead with these Arduino boards. The benefit of this using these Arduino boards are cross compatible. I mean, you have versions for each and every OS. Like for Windows OS, Linux OS, and Mac OS, you have Arduino IDEs where you can actually develop an application, deploy into the board. So these boards are inexpensive when compared to the other boards, and cross-platform compatible. So you can learn the programming environment, which will make you far more enthusiastic to learn new concepts in the embedded systems. And open source, you have n number of libraries which are available for Arduino. So if you search something in the Arduino, you want something out of it from the Arduino, so you can search anything. Most often you'll be actually getting some connects, because Arduino is extensively used. You can get n number of solutions for your application, whatever you're thinking about. That's the reason always people who are actually learning about the embedded systems, they'll usually start with this kind of boards. So the function of the Arduino board, the flexibility of the Arduino board is very good, because it's very less form factor size, and you can integrate n number of sensors with this Arduino board. And always remember, when you're dealing with these Arduino boards, you have to also remember about what kind of sensor you're dealing with. If you're going for more precision sensor or more accurate sensor, you may get the values, but the values will not be that accurate. That you have to keep it in your mind. Okay. And coming to different sort of boards, you have Arduino Uno, which actually provides 2 kilobytes of static RAM and 32 kilobytes of flash, 6 inputs and 0 outputs. Arduino Duo is an advanced version. It has 12 input, 2 output. Arduino Mega 16 input, 0 output. Leonardo 12 input, 0 output. So different sort of boards you can see. Arduino Uno R3 revision 3, Arduino Nano, Arduino Micro, Arduino Duo, Lilypad Arduino board, Arduino Bluetooth, Arduino Dismela, Redboard Arduino board, Arduino Mega R3, Arduino Leonardo, Arduino Robot, Arduino Explora, Arduino Pro Mic, Arduino Ethernet, Arduino Zero, fastest Arduino board. So n number of boards are there. Apart from this, you also have the Arduino boards for Wi-Fi series also. There is MKR 1000. There are some series which I'll be discussing later. Okay. So this is Arduino R3. Okay, this has 6 analog inputs, 14 DIOs from 0 to 13, out of which you have UART, 1 I2C channel, 1 SPI channel. Okay, and this can be powered up by using the 12 volts DC adapter. From 5 volts to 12 volts, it get powered up. Otherwise, you can also power up your device with a USB also. But if you want to deploy the application, remove the USB wire and put it somewhere else, then you have to go for power supply. So as long as once you deploy an application, the application will be available in the Uno only. If you want to erase it, you have a button which is called as reset. So if you reset it, the code inside the top level code what you have deployed onto the Arduino will be removed. And then you can deploy another applications also. Or directly you can write another code onto the Arduino so that the another code will work out. So that's how all these things will work. Arduino Nano, it's very small in size, but the chip what you're using in Arduino Uno and Arduino Nano are the same. See, Arduino Atmega 328P will be used in Arduino Uno and also in the Nano. But the number of IOs what you have and the form factor, the size constraint is very less for this particular Arduino Nano board. Okay. Apart from that, Arduino Micro, which has a different controller, and you have 12 analog inputs, PWM pins, 7 pins of PWM, etc. And then you have Arduino Duo, which has totally digital IOs of 54 pins. You have 12 pins PWM outputs, analog pins 12, UARTs 4, clock pin, etc. This is LilyPad. So if you are doing some smartwatch kind of applications, or you want to put in a factor of watch kind of thing, basically this kind of LilyPad Arduino board is used. And always remember this board files. Like if you want to create the same Gerber, if you want to create this Arduino, replicate the Arduino, there is a procedure for that also. Okay, so there is no constraint. You can copy paste the design, and you can develop your own board also. There is no copyright kind of thing. It is open source, completely open source, the hardware and the software part. But the thing is, it has been already developed by Arduino based company. So next, Arduino Bluetooth. This is advanced Arduino. So there is no photo for this. It uses Atmega 168. And then you have Arduino Decimilla. So it's pretty similar to the Arduino Uno. Okay, but the controller what you're using here is a different one. So it's nothing but it's a Uno only, but it's in a different language what you have. And then Redboard Arduino is nothing but people have used this Arduino design and then have designed their own board. So this Atmega board only, but the connections, pinouts, and the size is completely different. It's almost equivalent to Arduino Uno. Okay, it's same. And then we have Arduino Mega, which is a higher end board. So you have here you have 16 analog inputs. Okay, 16 analog inputs from A0 to A15, and then you have 54 DIOs, out of which you have PWM pins, you have UARTs, you have SPI, I2C, etc. And then this is Arduino Leonardo board. So Leonardo is almost same as Uno only. Again, it's different chipset connection what you actually have. So if you see, you can also see this is the USB connection for this Arduino Leonardo board. Okay. And then Arduino Robot is a different one, which is it's a combination of all the motors and all those things. The boards and everything are readily available. So Arduino Robot is nothing but already pre-built controllers which are attached with sensors, and everything is available. So you have to reprogram it. And then Arduino Explora, and then Arduino Pro Mic. It's almost same like Arduino Uno only. Arduino Ethernet. It is powered by Ethernet, and this is Arduino Zero. And then for fastest Arduino board with the higher end capabilities, Arduino Mega and Uno capability. This is a hi-fi board which uses RISC architecture. And then you have Arduino Shields also. So this is comparison chart of the Arduino. So this particular link could be useful for you. So I'm just placing down this particular link in the chat box. So guys, you can just make a note of this. Okay. So this particular link is pretty useful. Okay. So these are different sort of Arduino boards what we actually have. And you can also see the compatibility also, how exactly it looks like. So you have a very good list of Arduino boards, which we can get started in working with. And then now I'll show you the interesting thing. So as I told you earlier, basically if you are, if there is some situation where you can't access your hardware and software, there should be some platform where it can simulate your application and it can show you some results. So that kind of platform is very important, especially in the pandemic conditions also, because in the pandemic conditions, all of a sudden everything was closed down. If you have to do some tasks or if you have to do some projects, there was no possibility for access of the hardware, and there was no possibility for the access of the software, etc. In that kind of situations, the simulation softwares will emerge. So there is one such kind of simulation web environment which actually helps us out in understanding the embedded coding part. Okay, so let me just quickly open that. So I'll just open that. You can search for Tinkercad. Okay, Tinkercad is a specific website which actually helps you out with the online CAD. So I'll just click on this Tinkercad. So it'll ask me for some login. If I go for start tinkering, it'll ask me for the login. So already I have my account here. So the thing is, you can just you can just sign in with your Gmail ID so that you can get started with this Tinkercad website. Okay, so in Tinkercad website, basically, if you see, this is nothing but it's a Tinkercad website which is given by Autodesk. So 3D designs is nothing but, I mean, if you want to design some 3D objects, especially for the mechanical people who want to design some 3D objects or 3D cart kind of arrangements, what they want to do, they can go for 3D designs. Especially for us, for core people who are dealing with the core electronics, you can actually go for circuits. So we have n number of circuits. I have already worked on n number of circuits on this particular website. So you can see these are all my designs what I've done so far. Okay. So we'll try to get started. We'll try to understand how exactly all these things are taken into consideration, and we'll go through what could be done. Okay. So this is one thing, and then you have code blocks. So this is a new design. So code blocks is nothing but you can actually program an application based on the requirement. So code blocks I'll explain you once I'll go through the circuits. I'll see that code blocks is not mandatory for us because we'll be also internally using some code blocks there, and then some lessons also. You can go for simulation lessons and all those things. You can understand it. Okay. So let me just quickly go to circuits. So I'll also show you 3D designs before you go ahead with that. Okay. So if I go for create new design, this particular platform, whatever you are able to see, so it'll show you the plain worksheet, and right side you actually have a menu where you can actually just go through different sort of things. Let me just
I have option.
see at the right hand side. Guys, can you see my screen? Is my screen is visible? Okay, you can just see, I mean, if you want to put some editing, like if you want to do some editing, like if you want to say take some complex shapes and you want to tilt them around, you can do it. Okay, some rockets kind of shape or some homes you want to construct, whatever shapes you want to customize, you can actually take this into consideration. So you can actually customize the shapes, etc. What you can see here. Okay, guys, you can see I'm doing some design here. Is it visible? Like you can see a text symbol, right? Whatever I'm able to see here, you can see this text symbol which I'm trying to change it. So you can see the right side menu right now. So you have different sort of options to work on with. Guys, sorry for the interruption. Sorry for that. So I hope now you can see my screen. So where this is a platform. This is nothing but this is just a code. I mean, this particular environment is for mechanical people where they can design different sort of structures. Okay, based on the requirement, you can actually get started with design of different sort of structures. So this Tinkercad website, I would suggest everyone to just open Tinkercad in your, I mean, if you have laptops or if you have mobiles, you just open, or tabs also if you have, you just open Tinkercad once. And once you open the Tinkercad website, this Tinkercad website, you have 3D designs where you can actually go for 3D designs. 3D designs exclusively useful for mechanical people. Whatever we go with is we go with circuits, okay? Circuits. So in circuits, we have n number of different sort of circuits which are readily available in the market. Okay. So how this would be helpful for us to get started with a basic sort of designing for embedded, how it could be helpful. So once I open the circuits, you can also see there is an option which is called as create new circuits. So if I click on create new circuits, a new environment page will get open up showing us the menu and also the environment to get started with the programming. So first, let me just go ahead with a basic experimentation. Like let us just check some basic circuitries, and after that, let us just go ahead for another implementations. Okay, basic implementations. We'll have a look at. So now that we have got this environment, you can see in this environment you have components menu at the right hand side. The component menus, if you just click on the components, you can see basic components, all components, and then you have starters like basic, Arduino, microbit, circuit assemblies, and all the things you can actually view. So let me just click on all automatically, or like let me just click on the components all. So I'll get some basic components like resistors, capacitors, different sort of capacitors, and then I have diodes, input buttons, potentiometers, slide switches, photoresistors, photodiodes, different sort of sensors like ultrasonic, IR sensor, and you have ultrasonic distance measurement sensor, and you have PIR sensor, we have temperature sensor, and then we have keypad interface, so gas sensor interface, and then we have LEDs. Simultaneously, you have some neostrip LEDs, and then you have vibration motors, and then you have IR remotes. Simultaneously, you have 7-segment display and batteries, different sort of battery supplies, and then you have breadboards as well, mini breadboard, original breadboard, small breadboard, etc. And then you have different controllers, like microbit is one sort of controller, and then ATtiny is nothing but your Atmega based controller what you have. And then these are the instruments what we actually have. Okay, let us just quickly go with some sort of examples. Let us just go ahead. See, if I want to do some basic experimentation in this, see, let me just get started with the basic measurements. Okay, simply what I'll try to do is I will take a battery. Okay, take a battery, drop down the battery here, and you can also rotate your particular battery placement also. Just click on this battery. At the top left, you can actually see there is a rotate symbol. Okay, rotate symbol, or you can also press on R to rotate it automatically. You have to select your battery, or you have to select your component which you want to rotate. You can see there is a highlight thing will be done around your particular battery what you have, and once you click on R, it starts rotating. Okay, so it rotates at like 30 degrees at a time. So based on the rotation, you can just put it across. Now let me just go ahead with one breadboard. Let me just go ahead with the breadboard. Just click on the breadboard and place your breadboard here, or let me just escape it. Let me go for small breadboard. Done. So here on the small breadboard, I want to put some connections, and simultaneously I just want some resistors also, where I would just go ahead with a resistor network. or I'll just put a resistor across. Now, after placing your resistor also, you can just go ahead with this rotation and you can place it in the slot wherever you want to go ahead with. Then simultaneously take one more resistor, rotate it across and just place it beneath this, okay, in a series fashion. So now let me just create some wires out of it. So in order, see, in this battery, this is positive pin and this is negative pin, okay. Positive pin, I'm directly just clicking on the positive pin, clicking on the plus symbol of the breadboard. So in breadboard, the top lines what we have, those are horizontally connected, and the between lines between layers what we have, these are vertically connected. So top and bottom of your breadboard, these things will be horizontally connected, and in between will be connected with the in the vertical configuration, okay. So I'm just connecting this. So you can just go through this. I mean, you can place the battery as per your requirement. Your battery could be somewhere like this or somewhere like this, etc. And there is a provision, you can also change the color of the wire also. So just click on the color of the wire, just go with this, just make it as red. So automatically the color of the wire will get changed to red. Simultaneously go to the negative pin. You can see once you place your cursor on the negative pin, automatically negative will get highlighted. Just select that, connect it. Now the negative wire also just change it. Go for color change, go for black. So here you can also put designated colors for your design, whatever you're trying to do, and you can actually check the simulation. Why I'm showing you this example is this is a basic example what I'm trying to do. Let us just see what kind of result we actually get it out of this particular thing. So now what I'll try to do is I'll take this connection, I'll put it at this particular end. Simultaneously, the ground, I'll just put it at this connection. This is done. So this wire, I'll once again, I'll just make it into red color. So I've got this configuration. Okay, and now simply what I'll do is I will just simply go for see, I'll simply go for a multimeter. I'll drop it. Okay, so place it as per your requirement, drop it across, and you can connect one end to the one end of the resistor terminal and the other end of the resistor terminal. Okay, so we are done with this. And now once you place the resistor, there is an option in this particular software. There is an option also where you can actually change the resistor values also. See, once you place your once you double click on the resistor, you will get the resistor name. You can change the resistor name as R1 or whatever you want to put it. You can put it as it is, and you can also change the resistance values also. You can see from pico ohms to giga ohms, you can actually change it. So based on your requirement, you can change it. Now let it be in the kilo ohms only. First resistor, I'll just put it as 10 kilo ohms. As soon as I just make it as 10 kilo ohms, you can observe the color of the resistor got changed. Earlier it was by default it was 1 kilo ohm. That's the reason the color code of this particular resistor was red, black, and brown. And this color code what we actually have, it's orange, black, and brown. So orange, BB Roy, if you calculate, orange is the last one. So brown stands for 1, black stands for 0, and orange stands for 3. So it's 10 kilo. And here the brown stands for 1, black stands for 0, red stands for 2. So it's 1 kilo. So here you can also see the color changes in the resistors also. Based on the value, the color will get changed also. Okay, that's how these things will work. So this is fine. Until this part, it is fine. Now I want to just check whether it is working fine or not. See, I'll just go for start simulation. Start simulation. So here you can see I'm getting a 8.18 volts exactly at this particular resistor. Okay, but if I change the connection, I will also see for 1 kilo ohm what is the resistance I'm getting. See, whatever I have done here, it's a voltage divider circuitry. So I've used a 10 kilo ohm resistor, I've used a 1 kilo ohm resistor. So I'll be getting the voltage across between both the on the both of the resistors. Okay. So now what I'll try to do is I'll just stop this simulation instead of this connection. I'll delete. You can also easily delete the wires also. Just select the wire, click on delete. Automatically the wire gets deleted. Deleted. Now connect it across for this particular configuration. Done. And this one, let me just change my color back to red. Let me run it back. See, here I'm getting 818 millivolts, and earlier here I used to get somewhere like. Let me also drop down this. Okay, and connect this one across. Okay, this one and this one. Always remember, while you are simulating your application, you shouldn't do any connections. You're not allowed to do any connections. So automatically it gets off. Okay, your simulation will get turned off. Okay, so you can put your connections as per your requirement. Okay, and then you can run the application. See, it's giving 8.18 volts and it is almost like 818 millivolts. Close to you are getting 9 volts. Voltage divider circuitry I've implemented. So at the first resistor, I'm getting somewhere like 8.18 millivolts, 18 volts, and the second resistor I'm getting 818 millivolts. Approximately the sum is equal to 9 volts. Okay. Now, if you want to check it in a different manner, what you can do is I'll just click on this resistor. I'll change this value to 1 kilo ohm back again, because if I use the same resistors, I will get equal voltage on the resistors. So let me go for start simulation. See, I've got 4.5 and 4.5 volts. So this is simple voltage divider circuit. So when you're using two resistors in series, the voltage drop exactly at the resistors will depend on the resistor connections what you actually have. Okay, so this is done. Until this part it is fine. I hope you understood how exactly these things are working. This resistance and everything is working. So you can save the designs, and you can also save your complete simulation part also. See, I can stop the simulation part and you can export the design, like whatever design you have done, you can export into .brd file. You can do it. And there is a coding environment. Once I get through the Arduino Uno programming, we'll get started with that. Okay, so this is how you can actually verify, and you can also rename your design name also. You can just click on the design name and you can just put it as test one basic components. So you can understand this particular platform will be very beneficial for you to interact with multiple sensors and to understand how exactly the code is responding, how exactly the board is responding for a specific code, how exactly the sensor is responding. All these things will come into consideration. Okay, so we'll come across beautiful examples and we'll try to go ahead with that. Okay, so this is one thing. Now let us just go for another examples also. So in the similar manner, let me just go for this potentiometer. Okay, I'll just put this potentiometer across. Now what I'll do is I'll simply take a connection from this. I'll feed to a positive end. Okay, and wiper will be my output. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll take a LED. Okay, LED, I'll just place it across. So LED has two pin, guys, anode and cathode. So how can you identify which is positive and which is negative in the LED section? Anode and cathode. Okay, here you can also have the indications, but in real time you have to identify. Basically, anode pin will be little longer when compared to the cathode pin. So cathode pin will be connected to the ground pin, anode will be connected to the supply. So here, what I'll simply do is I'll connect this wire to the wiper end, and the other end of this potentiometer will be connected to the ground. Okay, and this cathode end will be also connected to the ground pin. So I'll make this connection as red because it's supplied, and whatever I'm feeding for the LED, I would like to make it as blue, and I can also change the color of the LED. See, once I click on the LED, I have an option to change the color of the LEDs also, like green, yellow, orange, blue, white, etc. Whatever is your wish, you can just put it. Let it be red itself, or let it be blue. Okay, let it be blue. Now you can also run the see as soon as I run it, you can see the resistance is very low on this potentiometer. Basically, the potentiometer is nothing but potentiometer will actually add the resistance based upon your momentum. I mean, if you are rotating the knob, the resistance will get increased. And here, if you see, I'm getting an indication stating that current through the LED is 858 milliamperes, while the absolute maximum current value for the LED is 20 milliamperes. So if I'm feeding very high current to LEDs, the LED will get burnt out. So you can also see this kind of understandings in the interactive simulation. So this interactive simulation environment will help you to understand all things. Okay. Now I'll try to increase it, add some resistance. So as soon as I add some resistance, I can see there is a glow in the light. You can see there is a glow in the light in the LED. Let me just change this LED to red so that you can clearly see that. Okay. See here it was high luminosity. If I'm applying a very minimal resistance, you have a warning and you have a threat. See, this is okay, this is fine. Even though if I'm increasing it, I can see my LED gets illuminated. If I put complete resistance, if I put high resistance, automatically the LED will get turned off. So there will be no light going on. The voltage what LED will get is very less, so LED will get turned off. LED is simply a light emitting diode. Diode will not conduct. Diode will only conduct whenever it is in the forward bias. In forward bias also we have to take care about the current. If the current limitations are too high, that means your LED will get burnt out, or whatever diodes you're actually using, that will get burnt out. So you can also see this kind of things in the interactive simulation what you have in this Tinkercad website. So with this website, you can also do your mini project kind of thing. You can simulate it. You can understand what kind of things you're getting it. Then you will be pretty confident enough to buy some components, integrate it, and get the results done. Okay. So this has a very good set of instruments which are readily available where you can actually work with this kind of environment. So let me just stop the simulation. Let me just stop the simulation part. And let me just go ahead for back. So once I press back, automatically this test one basic components will be actually saved into your memory. See, whatever logic you are writing, all the logics will be saved in the memory. So whatever practice you are doing, the practice you can also review it in the later phase. All the codes will be also available unless and until you are changing it. Okay, that's one good provision with this particular platform. Okay. Apart from this, now let us just go for another example. So let me just put all the components together, and let us have some analysis on the waveforms also, how exactly it looks like. So I'll take a function generator, okay, and similarly I'll take an oscilloscope. Okay, so let us just directly connect and see what kind of response we are actually getting it. So you can also do some folds also for the wire, whatever wire you have. See this thing, I can just change it to red color, and then this wire, just click it on this side, bend it across as per your requirement, connect it across. Okay, there is no provision, I mean there's no restriction that you have to connect it in this fashion, that fashion, etc. So however you want to connect, you can connect it. Okay, so see oscilloscope, it is mentioned that times per division you have to mention that, and then here in this particular function generator you have to specify the waveform. Like by default, let it be square waveform, DC offset, let it be 0 volts of DC offset, frequency let it be 1 kilohertz. So it's completely mentioned in terms of hertz. You have to mention the frequency in terms of hertz. You can start simulating it so you can get the square waveform output. So the thing is, you have to scale this particular thing. So you can just make it to microseconds to see the waveform, or even lesser than that. Okay, to see how exactly it is working. And this one you can also reduce the amplitudes as well to see the waveforms shift like. Okay, so 2 volts peak to peak, so you're getting 4 volts as a peak to peak. And you can change the waveform to sinusoidal. So sinusoidal, you have to scale it up across this time per division, you have to scale it up across. Okay, so that's how you can actually see the waveforms also. Just change it back. Okay, so you can actually see the waveforms in this particular manner. Okay, you can check the waveforms, you can change it across, and you can see how exactly those things are running. Okay, so this kind of verifications also you can do, and you can actually work on some different sort of circuitries also, whatever designs you have, like on the IC 555 timer circuit or op amp. If you want to do some experimentation, like if you want to do some quad comparator based experimentation, and then you have to do something on transistor level, or similarly you want to do something on the H bridge circuitry, or you want to do some logical operations like NAND operations, NOR operations, etc. It is quite possible to do it. Okay, the thing is, you have to see what kind of series number, what kind of IC number you have for the interaction for that kind of example. So now this is fine. You can actually delete whatever you want to go ahead with. Just select it and delete it. So these are the different sort of sensors also what we actually have. And resistors, as you know, you can change the resistor values. Even capacitors also, if you drop it, capacitor values can be also, like, you can change the capacitor values as well. So you can see the complete range. So whatever design, tested design, what you want to do, simulation environment will be the right environment, because you don't have any investment on this. So freely you can do this. I mean, in your free time you can actually test it around, and you can get the results. So that's one of the beautiful feature in this simulation environment as well. So now let us just quickly explore how to get started with the Arduino board. Okay, simply here we have Arduino Uno, which is readily available. So you can select that Arduino Uno R3 and you can drop it across. So once you drop this, so see, this is the USB wire, and this is the reset button, and this is the IC what we have, and these are the analog pins, and these are the digital IO pins what we actually have. So once we drop the Arduino board, by default, if you click on the code segment, automatically the code segment will come up. So in the code segment, you have 3 different ways of programming it. So if you click on this, we actually have an option. Either you can go for blocks kind of coding, or you can go for blocks plus text kind of coding, or you can go for plain text coding. Okay, so blocks plus text, if you select, these are the block windows and this is the coding window. Okay, embedded C++ coding window. So otherwise you can also go for text also. So if you click on text, automatically the blocks will get removed. Automatically the test code will get available. Test code will be available. So let us just understand how exactly the basic programming will work, how there is a segment difference between the code what you are actually running in this. Okay, so let me just quickly go for this blocks plus text kind of environment, and let us just get started with the simulation. Okay, so once I click on simulation, you can see once you close this up, you can actually see this onboard LED, what you have onboard LED, which is L. It is glowing, it is blinking and getting off. So you are just turning it on and off with your code. So now let us just get shifted to the coding part. What kind of coding is involved, where the segmentation is done, or how exactly you can get started with the programming, all these things. So just click on this code. Let us just okay, let it be in the block code or any other thing. See here in the block code, if you see, we have an option set built-in LED to high. Wait 1 second, again set the built-in LED to low. So these are all the action items what we actually have. You can actually drop it down, and if it is not required, you can just simply go ahead with this recycle bin. Okay, so whatever blocks you are actually placing here, based on that the coding will impact. See, if I place something here, the coding will get added up. Okay, that's how these things will actually work out. So let me just go for new circuit once again. I just entered into another environment once again. Let me drop down my Arduino Uno. By default, whatever code I have, rather than block code, let us go for text. I'll explain you the block code also later. Okay, let us go for text. So by default, let me just go for text code. So once I'm running this particular text code, so you can see you have two loops here. I mean two functions here. One is void setup, and the other one is void setup, and the other one is void loop. Void setup is nothing but it's an initialization information for your board. I mean, what kind of mode you want to operate, how many pins you want to use, what is the speed grade of your communication, all these things will come into existence. Void loop is nothing but it is a segment where you'll be actually running your code continuously. Okay. So in general Arduino programming, in general Arduino code, your code will be something like this. You have a void setup and then you have void loop. Setup code is nothing but it is used for three main purposes. One is setting up your mode of the pin. Basically, if you're using the if you're using the digital IO pins, those are called as digital IO pins. That means Either it could be input or it could be output. So there is no fixed constraint for this particular digital IPOs. That's the reason you have to specify the mode of the pin. I mean, what is the mode which you want to communicate with? You want to put it as output or you want to put it as input based on the requirement. Okay. And we'll identify what is input and what is output also. Based on that only our original programming will get started up. Okay. And the second significant thing what we have in setup is you can also specify the UART communication speed. For example, if you are writing some dialogues, in this particular environment, you can actually print that in a console. You can also check the console also. This is at the bottom side of your environment. You have a console also, which is called a serial monitor. So if you want to put some console, I mean, if you want to see the samples what you're getting from the sensor, you can also print them. That print you can also observe in the serial monitor. So that is one more environment. And if you want to do some initialization messages, like once you get started with some task, you want to put some initialization, you can also put that in setup. So setup code is majorly for three main things. One thing is to specify the mode, that is either input mode or output mode based on the requirement. And second thing is you can specify the UART communication rate. UART is nothing but basically this Arduino board. If you see, there is a USB wire. So Arduino board will be connected to the system via USB wire. So you have to set up the communication speed. You have to set up the communication speed between your Arduino and the computer so that your computer can read some data from the Arduino board. Once it is done, whatever you're printing in the console in the Arduino will come into existence. Okay, that is one thing. And the second thing, and the third thing what we have is, if you want to put some startup codes, if you want to write some startup code, or if you want to put some message, startup message, you can also put that. So setup, especially setup function, whatever void setup function you have, there will be actually specifying the mode of the pins, either input or output, and we'll also specify the speed grade, that is serial communication speed rate between your computer and as well as your Arduino board, and to display the console, to display the values on the console. And the third one is if you want to put some initialization messages. And loop is nothing but, as the name itself suggests, it actually runs the condition in the looping. So whatever code you'll be writing in the loop, that will run continuously in your Arduino board. That's what will happen. So in loop, if you are putting a while loop or any other things, it runs based on the conditions what you're actually writing it. Okay. So here there is some syntax also to work with analog, digital pins, etc. So this is one sort of syntax what we have. Digital write is syntax what we actually have. Digital write, and then you have delay also. Delay is nothing but if you want to add some basic delay of 1000 milliseconds, 100 milliseconds. In terms of milliseconds, if you want to add some delays, you can do that. Okay, these are few things what you have to understand. So first thing what you have to understand is setup code is meant for mentioning the mode of the pins what you want to operate with, and also the speed rate of communication, the baud rate of communication between your Arduino board and as well as your PC or laptop, whatever you're using. Third thing is if you can also put some initialization messages. And void loop, especially this particular function, void loop function, will actually, as the name itself says, will actually run the application continuously as long as the code is inside the Arduino board. That's the reason once I start simulation, you can actually see the LED light is getting blink on and off. So whatever code I've written here, what I'm doing here is, what I've done here is I've used digital write. So LED underscore built-in comma high, and then I have okay. So here what I'm trying to do is, this is my pin, whatever pin I have, this is my pin. So on the pin I'm loading a high value and putting a delay of 1000 milliseconds. Similarly, in the second and the third line, what I'm trying to do is I'm again writing a sample into the pin and I'm making it as low. So high and low, that's what I'm trying to do. And then we have delay of 1000 milliseconds. So this particular complete cycle will revolve around n number of times to complete the task. That's how these things will work. So let me just get started with the same example. I'll write it in a different way. Okay, how exactly the code will look like, all these things we'll see. Okay, so what I'll try to do is int, I'll just take a pin number. Okay, int, for example, if you want to access your digital pins, if you want to access your digital pins, you have to mention the number. I'll put it as a is equal to 13 is my digital pin. Assume that 13 is my digital pin, comma b is equal to 12. Okay, okay, this is done. So here, see, always remember in this Arduino board there is one thing. This 13th pin is directly connected to this LED internally. So here, whatever LED built-in he's speaking about, that is nothing but a 13th pin. Okay, that is nothing but your 13th pin. Okay, so 13th pin. So this one pin mode of LED underscore built-in comma output he has specified. So first thing, what I'll try to do here is I'll just set my serial communication rate. So 9600 is a pretty basic baud rate what we actually have. Okay. Here, pin mode, what I'll try to do is I'll take A rather than LED built-in, I'll take it as A. So now 13th pin, DIO 13th pin will be made as output. Okay. Now the same line, just copy pasting it. And this one, what I'll try to do is I will try to make it as, let it be output, but I'll try to connect it into some other okay, let it be output only. We'll try to do the same example, small example. And this one, what I'll try to do is I'll simply go ahead with so just like printf in the basic C language, just like system.out.println in Java programming language, just like cout in the C++, what you have here also we have a object-oriented programming, semi-object-oriented programming. Serial is a peripheral name. Begin is nothing but a communication baud rate what you're setting up, and serial.println is used to print some console. So let me just you have to print everything under double quotes, just like what we do in the basic printf in the C language. So serial.println, so onboard and external LED test. Okay, so I just want to print this for once. Okay, just once I just want to print this. After that, once the serial, see, this is how syntax will look like. So in serial, in the void setup, I've told you three main things. One is pin mode. You have to specify the mode of the pin, whether it is output or input. Second thing is you have to set the baud rate. If you want to print something in the consoles, you have to set the baud rate, speed rate communication between your system and as well as your Arduino board, whatever you're actually using. And then last one we have is void loop. And the one more thing is initialization message also you can put it. These are three main things in void setup. Similarly, we have void loop. In void loop, what we can actually do is we can go ahead with this digital. I mean, you can write some samples out there. Okay. So now I'll just edit this code. Okay, I'll use this code and I'll edit it. So basically, we have four things to be discussed. First of all, let us just get started with this digital write. Later, maybe once we get started with the implementation, we'll take a good number of examples. We'll understand the concept, how exactly these things are working. Okay. So digital write is used to write the sample. I mean, generate a sample. Digital and digital write is nothing but it's an output generation thing. Digital read is in the sense you are trying to read the samples from the digital sensor or digital interconnect. Similarly, analog read in the sense you'll be actually reading the samples from the analog sensors. Similarly, analog write in the sense you'll be actually writing a sample onto a LED or any other things, whatever you want to go ahead with. Okay, so now what I'll try to do is I'll take a different LED here. I'll connect that LED to 12th pin, and 13th pin is already pre-built connected to the onboard LED, which is available called as L. Okay, whatever L you are actually seeing this on the Arduino board, that is directly connected to 13th pin inside the board on the PCB level. So there is no connection there, but on the PCB level there is a connection between the 13th pin and L pin, whatever we have. So now I'll try to change this code a bit. Okay, I'll copy this, I'll replicate it. Simultaneously, I'll copy this, I'll replicate it. Done. So instead of LED built in, what I can do is I can simply go for A, because A is configured to 13th pin, and simply I can also go for my B pin also. Similarly, I'll go for one more A pin and one more B pin. Okay. You can put any delay. For example, on time delay, you want to put it more, and then off time delay, you want to reduce it. Even that's quite possible. So what I'll try to do is instead of this, I'll just put the on time delay as 1000. Let it be 1000. Off time delay, I'll reduce it to half. Okay, 500. I'll put it. Okay. And now this code is done. Complete coding is done. Now I just want to verify the code. But before that, I just want to make sure that 13 is already connected to onboard LED. Onboard LED in the sense the LED which is available on the Arduino Uno board. That is nothing but L. One more LED I want to take it externally. So what I'll do is I'll just save this code until this part. Everything is saved. I'll click on this code segment. I'll simply go to my LED. I'll drop down the LED here, and I'll take a small resistor also, because always remember when you're trying to feed some digital output, whatever you're getting from this, you have to feed it from a resistor, because high current should not flow into your LEDs. That's the reason whenever people actually do some LED linking or any other task, they'll be actually using a resistor rather than going for direct connection, rather than going for direct excitation. They'll be actually using a resistor. So here I'll just change the color of this particular wires also, like red, and this one, let it be red itself. And now this one, the last cathode pin, will be simply connected to ground, and I'll change the color of the cathode to black. So now my connections are also done. I can simply go for my code segment. The code segment is already perfectly all right. So let me just quickly go for start simulation. So if your code is having some syntactical errors, your simulation will not run. If your code is not having any syntactical error, your simulation will run. Here you can see both L and this LED are running at the same time, right? Okay, both your L LED and this LED are running at the same time. Now I just want to do a slight change. See, I want to make the condition opposite. When this onboard LED L is on, I just want to make sure this is off. And when this particular onboard LED is off, I want to make sure this is on. So simply what I can do is, in the loop itself, I can go for this condition. I can just make B as low when A is high, and B as high when A is low. Exactly opposite conditions I have to specify. Save it across. Just go for, see, always remember these things will happen. You'll get a pop-up stating that all changes got saved. Okay. So now I can just quickly go for start simulation. See, now it's opposite. Whenever this LED is on, this LED will be off. Okay, this kind of verifications you can do it. So for this, what you have to do is we have to understand what is input, what is output for the board. So I'll quickly give you some insights how to identify the inputs and outputs on the board. Okay, based on that, whatever task you'll be given, you will easily identify and you can easily separate what is input and what is output according to your application. So I hope this is clear until this part. So guys, if there are any sort of queries, please post it in the chat box so that I'll just try to explain you. Until this part, if there is any query, just please post it in the chat box so that I can explain to you in further more clear manner. Because this is how the programming will get started. Later we'll work on a few different sort of applications all together, and then we'll analyze how exactly these things are working out. So if there are any queries, please post it in the chat box. If there are no queries, fine. I'll just continue what we have to discuss all about. So I hope I'm clear until this part. If there are any queries, please post it in the chat box so that I'll just revert back to you. So this is one thing. Apart from this, we have to decide how you can decide what is input and what is output for the controller. Always remember, guys, you have 4 things what we have to discuss now: analog input, analog output, digital input, digital output. So when you are thinking about this kind of boards, always your perspective or always your thinking perspective should be in terms of your board. Okay, you should know whether the sensor should be connected in input or your sensor should be connected in output. So that is one thing what you actually have to understand. Okay, so always you have to think in terms of Arduino. Okay, you have to make your thinking in the shoes of Arduino. You have to think in terms of Arduino. For example, you want to read a sensor data. You want to read a sensor data from the Arduino board. You are using a temperature sensor. So temperature sensor is providing some output voltage. That voltage you want to read it from your Arduino board. You can read it. You can read it. But now tell me whether that is input for the Arduino board or that is output for the Arduino board. So if Arduino has to read the voltage from the temperature sensor, guys, there's a disturbance. Yeah, somebody has actually unmuted the mic. Thank you. So somebody has unmuted the mic. Please kindly don't do that because we'll get echo and all those things. So always remember how to identify the input or output in terms of, you have to think in terms of Arduino only. Okay. See, from sensor, you want to read some data from the Arduino board, then that would become an input. So if you are trying to get the data, if you are trying to read the data from the sensor, simply that is an analog input for your Arduino board. Okay, always remember, guys, if you want to read some data, some voltage from the sensor, it would be analog input for the Arduino Uno board, Arduino or whatever board you have, whatever embedded boards you have. If you want to read some samples or read some voltage from the sensor, you have to go for input. You have to think in terms of Arduino. As per Arduino terms, Arduino has to read the data from the temperature sensor. That means that becomes input for the Arduino. Okay, that becomes input for the Arduino. Similarly, if you want to generate a waveform or if you want to generate a voltage, you want to feed it to a LED. Generate in the sense you are trying to put something out. You are trying to put something out. So that will become output for the Arduino. So if you want to generate some samples, if you want to do some action, if you want to control some process, what you have to do is you have to go for output. So always remember, simply I'll take 4 examples. If you're taking temperature sensor or any other sensors, that will be analog input for the embedded boards. If you are taking some LEDs or something for generation of a waveform. I mean, if you want to make sure you want to control the brightness, or if you want to control the light illuminity of your LED, you have to go for analog output, because you have to vary the voltage there. Because if you want to control the illuminity of your particular LED, you have to vary the voltage. Based on the voltage variation only, you can see that. So that will be analog output. And similarly, digital input is nothing but if you want to read some digital sample, from the sensor, or similarly, I mean, if you have some buzzers, or if you have some uh, speakers or buzzers or LEDs, what you have, you want to turn them on, that is nothing but that is a digital output. So whichever you want to trigger, like motor you want to turn on, or you want to turn on the buzzer, or you want to turn on the LED, whatever action you want to do, that is nothing but your digital output. So here also we have treated that as output only. In our existing code, the LED was treated as output only, because with that I'm able to operate my LED. That's what happened. And coming to digital input is nothing but whatever digital samples you want to read. For example, there is some sensor which is actually giving you ones and zeros. You want to read those ones and zeros, then you have to go for digital input. Okay, that's how you have to identify digital output, digital input, etc. So I hope I'm clear until this part, guys. If there are any queries, please post it in the chat box. I'll try to answer your queries. I'm done with today's part. The other session will also start in a few minutes. So I will wind up with the today's session. Tomorrow also, once again, I'll get started with what is input and output. We'll get started with a few examples, and then we'll see if you have to do some protocol based programming also, how you can do. All these things we'll discuss in detail. So thanks for your effective participation in the evening. And guys, don't hesitate to ask any sort of questions. Please post it in the chat box. If you're not able to ask the questions within the session, you can also mail me directly. I have my mail ID. I'm just sharing my mail ID here. Okay, I'm just mailing my mail ID also, and my mobile number as well. So if anybody has any queries or any queries on the project oriented part also, you can let me know after the completion of sessions. Okay. So with this, I'll just stop my screen sharing. Okay. I'm just guys, if there are any queries, please post it in the chat box. I'm winding up the session today. So if there are no queries, we'll stop the session right away. So please, I'll just wait for a few more minutes to see your queries. If there are no queries, I can wind up the session. So